A mafioso? That was the last thing I expected my ex to choose. What had our love not been enough? Did he really think I wasn't good enough? Or was he just bored? The first time I laid eyes on Enzo Falcone, I knew there was something special about him. He was older than me, successful and charismatic, and those dark, intense eyes of his seemed to see right through me. It was like he knew me better than I knew myself. But then I looked into his eyes and I felt seen, acknowledged, important. It was intoxicating. We were introduced by a mutual friend at a party. I was instantly drawn to him, and he seemed equally interested in me. We talked for hours, connected on a deep level, and by the end of the night, we had exchanged numbers. Over the next few weeks, we started seeing each other regularly. He took me to the most amazing places, treated me like a princess, and showered me with expensive gifts. I couldn't help but feel like I had stepped into a fairy tale. But I also knew there was more to Enzo than met the eye. There was always something secretive about him, a hidden intensity that lurked beneath his charming exterior. He was careful not to reveal too much about himself, and there were times when I caught him looking distant and troubled. Still, I couldn't resist him. I was head over heels in love, and I wanted to know more about him. But the more I tried to get close to him, the more he pulled away. It was like he was a puzzle I couldn't solve, a mystery I couldn't unravel, and it drove me crazy with curiosity. One day I found a hidden box in his closet filled with weapons and surveillance equipment. I confronted him about it, and he confessed that he was involved in the mob. I was shocked and scared, but I couldn't help but admire his dangerous lifestyle. It was thrilling and exciting, and somehow it made me love him even more. Enzo and I had a passionate and intense relationship. We were deeply in love, and he made me feel like the most beautiful woman in the world. But as time went on, I started to notice some changes in him. He became more distant and secretive, and he would often disappear for days without telling me where he was going. I tried to convince myself that everything was fine, but deep down, I knew something was wrong. One day, I found a hidden box in his closet filled with weapons and surveillance equipment. I confronted him about it, and he confessed that he was involved in the mob. I was shocked and scared, but I couldn't help but admire his dangerous lifestyle. It was thrilling and exciting, and somehow it made me love him even more. Enzo and I had a passionate and intense relationship. We were deeply in love, and he made me feel like the most beautiful woman in the world. But as time went on, I started to notice some changes in him. He became more distant and secretive, and he would often disappear for days without telling me where he was going. I tried to convince myself that everything was fine, but deep down, I knew something was wrong. Then one day, everything changed. Enzo came home late from a supposed business trip and told me that he needed space. He said he wasn't sure what he wanted and that he needed to sort his life out. I was devastated. I couldn't understand why he was acting this way. I had done nothing wrong, or so I thought. Days turned into weeks, and Enzo still hadn't come up with a clear explanation for his behavior. It was eating away at me, and I desperately wanted answers. One evening, I decided that I couldn't take it anymore, and I went to his office to confront him. But what I found there shocked me. In the middle of his office sat another woman. She was young and beautiful, with long flowing hair and curves in all the right places. And Enzo, he looked at me sheepishly and admitted that he had been seeing her. The pain I felt at that moment was unbearable. I had loved Enzo with all my heart, and he had betrayed me in the worst possible way. In a fit of rage, I threw a vase at him, screaming at the top of my lungs. But instead of apologizing or showing any remorse, he slapped me. That single slap echoed in my ears long after he had left the room. It was a turning point for me. I realized that I had to move on from Enzo. I deserved someone who would treat me with respect and love me unconditionally. As the weeks went by, I tried to pick up the pieces of my life. I threw myself into my work, spending long hours in the gym and catching up with friends. I even started seeing a therapist to help me process my emotions. Slowly but surely, I started to heal. The pain didn't go away completely, but I learned to live with it. One day, a few months after Enzo and I had broken up, I received a call that changed everything. It was Enzo. His voice sounded desperate, and he begged me to meet him. At first, I wanted to say no. I had moved on from him and I didn't want to give him the satisfaction of knowing that he still had a hold on me. But something in his voice made me change my mind. I agreed to meet him in a secluded spot. When he arrived, he was a wreck. His eyes were bloodshot and his clothes were rumpled. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. He started to speak, but I stopped him. I knew he was going to apologize, but I didn't want to hear it. Instead, I asked him why he had called me. He hesitated, but then he took a deep breath and told me the truth. He said that he was in trouble, that he had made powerful enemies and that they were after him. He said he needed my help. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. This was the same man who had treated me like garbage just a few months ago. And now he was coming back to me hat in hand, begging for help. But despite my anger and resentment towards him, I couldn't help but feel sorry for him. I saw the fear and desperation in his eyes, and I knew that if he was telling the truth, then he was in real danger. I agreed to help him, but only because I didn't want him to die. I never wanted to admit it, but a part of me still had feelings for him. Together, we devised a plan to escape from his enemies. We packed a bag with essentials and disappeared into the night. For the next few days, we were on the run, hiding in different places and constantly looking over our shoulders. I was scared, but I was also excited. This was a different side of Enzo than the one I had known before. He was vulnerable, scared, and completely dependent on me. Finally, when we thought we had shaken off his enemies, we went to the police and told them everything. In the end, Enzo was arrested and sent to jail. As I watched him being led away in handcuffs, I couldn't help but feel a sense of closure. He was finally going to face justice for his crimes, and that's when I noticed Isabella standing behind me. Her eyes were filled with tears, and she looked heartbroken. In that moment, I knew that my revenge against Enzo had been complete. Not only had I taken away his freedom, but I had also broken his heart. Looking back, I can honestly say that my journey was a wild ride. From the highs of passionate love to the lows of betrayal and revenge, I experienced it all. But through it all, I learned so much about myself and what I am capable of. I discovered a strength within myself that I never knew existed. I also learned the importance of loyalty and trust, and the devastating consequences of breaking them. Most importantly, I learned that revenge is a dish best served cold, but it's also a heavy burden to carry. Ultimately, it doesn't bring lasting happiness, but it does bring closure. My story may be over, but the lessons I've learned will stay with me forever. Now it's your turn to join me for the next chapter. Click here to continue the story, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Until next time.